Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what? I've made a mistake. I know it's so unlike me, but stay watching to see how I fix it. Whew. Not sure how we're going to do this. Now then, I'm very grateful to Cheapskate, who left me a comment in one of my previous videos to say that, stop Dave, you've made a mistake with your bridge, because to intonate a nylon acoustic guitar bridge, you do not use a sloping saddle like I've made. It should be parallel. And this is because nylon behaves differently to steel. And Susan Gardner has put a video out where she explains this beautifully. So I won't go into the details, but I'll put a link to the video just up there. But the long and the short of it is that this bridge that I made is no good. So I need to make a new one. And for that, I'm going to use this piece of Santos rosewood, which will match the fretboard. Now this was the Vancol, which is a lovely wood, and it's a lovely wood when it's stained, but I'm going to put that to one side because that's not going to be any good for a nylon acoustic, although it may work for steel acoustic. So all I have to do, very simply, you just make another one out of this piece of wood. You've seen me make one of these bridges already, so I won't bore you with the whole process, but I'll try and come up with a little bit of music, and you can watch some snippets. Now then, you catch me on a Sunday afternoon in experimentation mode. Now, I've made this new bridge, and in cutting out the slot there, I made it a bit wider than the previous one. And I'm not sure whether that's a problem or not. I've got this piece that will go into that. I can shape it to fit into that, but it's going to be a little bit wider than I'd intended. And also, I'm not absolutely sure that it's both sides are dead parallel. So when I did it the first time, somebody commented that usually this channel for the saddle is done with a router jig. That got me thinking, could I build a router jig to cut the slot? Let me show you. Basically, I've got my router jig screwed down to this piece of wood here, this sort of fixture. So the idea is that the piece moves underneath the router rather than the router moving over the top of the piece. So all I've got a couple of legs, a couple of slots there. I've got a flat fence at the back, and this is an adjustable fence at the front. And what I do, I feed the piece of wood through the side there, and it hits the router bit just there. Now I've done a few passes on this, and I've ended up with something that looks like that. And the advantage of this is it is dead parallel to that edge, and it's a constant width all the way through. Now it's based obviously on the width of the smallest router bit that I've got, which is this piece here. It's actually 3mm, so it's a 3mm router bit, which again is a little bit wider than I would normally have, but I'm thinking that having a slightly wider saddle gives me a little bit more opportunity to make fine adjustments for the intonation. So the question is now, do I make a third one of these? I've just run this second bridge through the router just to tidy up the edge, and I think it's looking a lot better. So I think I might stick with this one, but certainly in the future I think I'll probably use this technique to cut the slot, because you do get a more consistent slot with it. Yeah, interesting. Well, a bit of experimentation. Good afternoon. Now then, I don't want to make a big feature of this shim that I've put in under the neck, but it does occur to me that I've got a piece of this trim that I've used around the side, this Santos rosewood, and I think I'm going to use that just in there, where, so from the start of the guitar body there just to the end of that shim. I think it'll just tidy it all up, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to run it to the end of the shim. Just pull this out a minute, which is about there, so I'll just leave it a bit longer. And I want to stop it just where it hits the body, and I think I'm going to cut it at an angle, and I've got a little spider crawling all over the fretboard, interestingly there. Anyway, so I'll mark that there and cut that off. Spider's Voyage of Discovery. Oh, obviously spotted a duff fret slot there. Might have to fix that. Now this piece of binding is probably about 2mm thick, so I'm going to have to chisel out a little bit underneath that neck very carefully. First things first, I'm going to have to sand this little piece down just to fit the gap. Almost there. I think that's just about there now. So if I fix that in there, I just want to mark that position on the end. I'm just going to move it along a bit. Actually, I'll tell you what I will do, I'll put it in the right way round. That's better. Okay. Now I need to very carefully just chisel this out. So I think I will do the little chop technique that I use. Now I think I've got that as good as I'm going to get it, so I need to glue that in now, and then I can just shape it off afterwards. Okay, well that's one side done, so I'll just move all these out of the way and turn the guitar over and do the other side. Where's the catch here? Ooh, there we go. Whoops. Okay. Side 2. Okay, I'm going to get on with this, and with the magic of video, I'll be back to you in a few seconds with it all done. Well, that's both sides done, and I think it does add to the finish. Just tidies it up a bit, and I think it's going to look okay once it's all sanded and oiled. Okay, I think it's time that I got the frets in this guitar. First I'll get some fret wire cut to length. Now I've got a couple of bits there. I'm not sure which bits I'm supposed to be using, so let me see. I think that's the one I need. Right. I'm running a bit short of fret wire, so I don't want to use too much of this each time. I shall have to put an order in for some more. I like to buy the fret wire in these long lengths. These are 5 metre lengths. They come in a roll like as such, so they've already got sort of a radius on. Although this guitar doesn't have a radius on the fretboard. Now I'm just going to mark where I need to file the tang to, so it's about there, then file it, which is there, and I just use a small file to get rid of the tang. And why do I do this? Well, it saves me the money of buying a fret tang cutter. But if you want to buy a fret tang cutter, then you can do it with one click. but that does the trick for me. I'll be honest, I don't normally glue my frets in, but I think I'm going to with this guitar, because normally with an electric guitar and the steel strings, obviously the pressure of the strings is going to really compress the gap, but with this guitar it's nylon strings. I may not get that compression. I'll be honest with you, this is my least favourite part of the process, because I always end up banging the fretboard. That looks like it's gone in okay, so I'm now going to just trim the ends of the fret off. I like to do this as I go. And we're on to the next one. Now this is clearly going to take a while for me, but for you it should be done in a matter of seconds. It's me back again, because one thing I forgot to do, and that is take a triangle file like this and just rub it over the slots, just so that you don't get tear out if you need to take the frets out in the future. And it's also a little bit easier to get the frets in. So, oh well, I'll get back to this then. Okay, I'll hold my hands up. Yes, another Dave moment. Right, before you start to think about fretting, make sure the fretboard is level. And well, I've had to take out those 2 frets that I've done, and I've checked it with my level and it wasn't level, so I've had to sand it, which I've done. I've re-slotted it all with this triangular file. I've used my level tester, it's sort of my fretboard rocker I call it, just to make sure that it is level, and I can use that same rocker to check it's still level once I've put the frets in. I think what's going to happen is that the neck's going to go bow backwards when I put the frets in. That's what normally happens, but I hope it won't go too much, because I don't think the nylon strings have the same sort of tension as the steel strings, so they won't pull it back. And there's no there's no truss rod in this apart from the metal bar that was there already. Anyway, I'm going to go and have a cup of tea, and then I'm going to come back and do the fretting job and do it properly. Well, okay, this is the last fret to put in, and I've been listening to the album Images and Words by Dream Theater, one of my favourite albums. Oh, fantastic group, fantastic album. I wonder what albums you like. Let me know in the comments. What's your favourite album? Come on, we had some great bands for the first gig. So what's your favourite album? Right. These frets at this end, I'm having to clip the ends as close as I can to the edge, and I'll just have to file them off because I can't get the clippers in there to do the job. So I'm just marking it with a pen. Obviously, because these frets are bent slightly, when I bang them down they push out, so I will have to do a bit more work down that end with the file. But hopefully this one's going to go in all right. Bit of glue. There we go. And get that lined up. Now this is really loud because of the sound box there, so I'll put my headphones on. Really had to give that a good thump because it's bouncing up and down top of the body there, but it's seated okay. Whew, that's all the frets in. I always think it really starts looking like a guitar once you've got the all the frets in, and that's looking really nice. Okay, so still a little bit more work to do, but I'm going to call it time for this video. This guitar is coming on. I've got the frets in, so we're getting very close now to finishing it. Still quite a bit of work to do. I'm really grateful for all the comments that you've left me, and for those folk who have told me the mistakes that I've made so that I can at least correct them in my own way. And so please keep the comments coming. Please don't forget to hit subscribe, and well, I'll see you soon. In the meantime, stay safe. Cheers.